Nick here from Green Space, and I am with Louann, and we're going to talk about recycling. What can you kind of tell us about recycling in Lusaka? You know, I don't see a lot around where we are.
There isn't very much. I years ago started a WhatsApp group called Recycling in Lusaka, or Recycle Lusaka, just because I had all this waste and I was listening to all these podcasts on zero waste, and I didn't want to be adding to landfill. I didn't want to be adding to
the garbage pit.
To the garbage pit, exactly. Actually, it came from when I was a child. I threw a sweet wrapper out the window, and my dad shouted at me and said, "Do you want to live on a rubbish pit when do you want to live on a rubbish heap?" And it all came back, and I just, what could I do? Where could I get this information? So I started asking people. And looking on Facebook and reaching out to people and just trying to connect people so that people who, like me, wanted to recycle, wanted to do something better with their waste, just so that they had a source of information.
Yeah.
It grew from there. Is just trying to encourage people to be a little bit more aware, because a lot of people have the belief that when they throw something away it disappears, but it doesn't. You know, depending on what it is, it stays there for life.
What are the easiest recycled products in Lusaka? You think of glass, you think of paper, which in many other places are readily recycled. What do we?
Glass is pretty much impossible to recycle here. A lot of it is just, I mean, you have some people who will take it and crush it up and add it to, they'll add it to cement and stuff like that, but it's pretty impossible to recycle here, which is ridiculous because we do have a glass factory, but as far as I know it's not very operational. Paper, again, not recycled, should be. Plastic bottles are probably the most recycled here because there are plastic recyclers, and you know, people, if you don't have a job, if you're struggling, a lot of people will go around, collect plastic bottles from the sides of the roads and sell it to just to feed their families. So that is probably the most recycled thing, but plastic recycling is very difficult, and the product just degrades. You know, you can't take a plastic bottle and make a new plastic bottle like you can with glass or aluminium or whatever. So to me, you still want to reduce your plastic use. If you can. Just try to refuse it.
So what can people do if they want to get into recycling?
Have a look on Facebook. Find the Recycle Lusaka group. Try to find someone near them who's on the group that does recycling, and just, I mean, I know it takes extra effort, but it depends if it's something you believe in. If you believe in it, you will take that extra effort to drop your plastic bottles off at the recycling centre. You know, if you can do your own composting at home, do that.
So it's at that stage, it's basically waste reduction. And changing the streams for which that waste goes into effectively.
Absolutely, and trying to be more aware of the waste that you generate. I know on a lot of the zero waste groups, they encourage you to do a trash audit and basically go through all of your trash and see where where the trash is actually coming from. And I mean, if you have paper and you have compost, you can chuck your paper in your compost. You know, yes, it would be better if you recycle it into new paper first, but just do anything to not send it to landfill, because when things break down in landfill, they either get burnt usually, which is horrendous for the environment, or they break down anaerobically and then release methane, and it's just,
which is also not good for the environment. Exactly.
It's just doing whatever you can.
So we don't end up all living on rubbish heaps.
Exactly. So the poster, Anamika actually reached out to me. She's, like I said, she's been on the group for years. She reached out to me to ask me for my list of recyclers as it stood.
This is the list here.
This is the list. So I went through, tried to contact people just to confirm if their details were still current, if they were still accepting stuff, and then just put it into a poster format so that she could print it out for today. But I do, as I get more information, I do update my list, and I usually send it out periodically. I have it on the Facebook page, which is called Recycling Lusaka, and it's just it goes through and tells you what some people will take, and I also try to include something, if possible, to say what they use it for.
Yes, I see here. I make decor accessories using broken mirrors, crockery tiles, MDF from Ethnics.
Yeah, because like some people, Hakuna Matata, they take glass, but they, just to try and deal with the plastic, with the glass waste, they basically just crush it and add it to cement and stuff. So if you can do something else with it first, then you are, in my opinion, better off doing that.
Yeah.
So for instance, adding the shredded paper to the worm bin, and like I said, adding it to your compost, yes, you can do that. But if you could do something that is basically makes a better use of it first,
bringing it back into its primary use rather than,
So with shredded paper, turn it into recycled paper, then after that, you know, either keep it as a keepsake because, you know, sentimental and must keep everything forever, or then you add it to your compost. So yeah, try to do as little drastic changes to the recycling product as possible.
Yeah.
For instance, if you are keeping your plastic, try to keep it separated between types, and hopefully types that can be recycled with themselves, basically.
Yeah.
So, you know, keep all the PETs together, exactly, and then hopefully that they will be more reused. Whereas if you do things like, I know they make plastic paving blocks and stuff like that, where they're combining a whole bunch of different plastics, you could never reuse that.
Undo that.
You can't undo it. So it's, just try to be mindful in how you are recycling things.
Would making the plastic paving bricks or something along those lines, would that still not be a fairly good use of that recycling of that plastic effectively?
Absolutely it would. My problem with that is microplastics. Microplastics are everywhere, and plastic just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and I don't think it ever truly goes away. And I don't like the idea that, you know, there's probably hundreds of little bits of microplastics in my food, in my body, in everything. Especially with a lot of the chemicals that go into plastics, you know, they can cause hormonal problems. They can everything that's not supposed to be in your body, you know, shouldn't be there, including thorns.
It's modern life in many cases.
Absolutely.
It is a massive experiment.
Yeah, chemical exposure and yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's been very enlightening.